In the world of leadership, some leaders are loved by their people, while others face strong criticism. In Persia, the Shah of Iran was a controversial figure who ruled with a firm hand. His journey unraveled along a path adorned with extravagance, where the treasures of affluence decorated his every step, glittering like jewels in a Byzantine tiara. Detractors, however, seized upon this opulent tapestry to cast aspersions, contending that he had grown estranged from the people of his land. How did a man who openly yearned for the Westernization of Persia kindle the fires of affection within the hearts of so many? And why, in the same breath, did this very man, who sought to shepherd his nation into modernity, become the object of vehement loathing? When contemplating the existence of a luminary as distinguished as the Shah of Iran, one must first delve into the mosaic of his origins, resplendent with historic grandeur. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, in full regal splendor, graced the world with his presence in the heart of Tehran, Iran's royal capital, in the year 1919, an era when wealth flowed as a river through his family's veins. His father, the inaugural Shah of the Pahlavi dynasty, had orchestrated this grand symphony of fortune. Yet young Mohammed, who shared his birth with a twin sister, did not inherit the mantle of royalty by mere virtue of birthright, for his father's ascent to the throne took place in the year 1925. However, young Reza harbored no notions of defeat. After his father's triumphant elevation to the throne in that pivotal year, he became the Shah the following year in 1926. Mohammad Reza ascended to the exalted status of Crown Prince. In the crucible of his formative years, the fledgling prince was dispatched to a Swiss boarding school, where he consumed the linguistic nectar of 4 distinct tongues: English, German, French, and the harmonious notes of his native Persian flowed from his lips, for such were the hallmarks of lineage steeped in the hallowed traditions of old money families. Around this juncture, young Mohammad Reza found himself established in a sad chapter of his life. In the heart of Iran, he had grown accustomed to the populace standing at attention as he passed, their gazes following his every stride. Yet on his inaugural day at the Swiss school, he imperiously summoned a crowd of fellow students to accord him the same deference, only to be met with a fateful altercation at the hands of an American peer. Following 4 years of traversing foreign shores, where he amassed a reservoir of worldly wisdom and insights into the intricate mechanics of life beyond Iran's borders, the Crown Prince's return to his native soil beckoned him to attain the coveted Iranian high school diploma. Subsequently, his path led him to the hallowed halls of the military academy, a 2-year sojourn from 1936 to 1938. Notwithstanding the predictable trajectory of aristocratic privilege, he ascended to loftier echelons well before his merits justified such ascent, soon securing the mantle of Inspector of the Army. This cushy position granted him the privilege of traversing the nation, scrutinizing both his father's civil and martial interests. However, Mohammad Reza's ascent to the zenith of power materialized with an unexpected rapidity. His father, Reza Shah, had found himself trapped in allegations of harboring sympathies for the Axis powers during the tumult of World War II. This ordeal ultimately resulted in his abdication. Thus, the stage was set for his son's meteoric rise. In the Annus Mirabilis of 1941, a mere 22 years old, Mohammad Reza Shah ascended to the throne as the new Shah of Iran, heralding the advent of the second era of the Pahlavi dynasty. Therein, he would endure for the lion's share of the subsequent 4 decades. Freshly anointed as Shah, he wasted no breath in inscribing the approval of his vision upon his nation's destiny. Mohammad Reza would vocally praise the virtues of his father's governance, while harboring a clandestine chorus of discord within his heart in the years that unfurled from his momentous ascension to power. The public ear may have been regaled with odes to his father's legacy, but he privately spoke a far subtler narrative. It was widely acknowledged that the Shah perceived the previous reign as somewhat rustic, and with a refined appearance, he embarked on the helm of rule. At the forefront of his concerns, he rested the worrying issue of his father's negotiations with the Anglo-Persian Oil Company, APOC, in 1933. To the Shah, this accord stood as a glaring monument to imbalance, an inequitable pact that had left Iran bereft and aggrieved. As mentioned earlier, the Shah and his family, deeply rooted in the affluent traditions of old money, continued to be surrounded by a contentious atmosphere within the fabric of Iranian society. This division endures even today. A key weapon in the arsenal used by his critics was his quickness in asserting the authority of his rule. Indeed, Mohammad Reza Shah adeptly honed his skill in restricting political freedoms. Following an assassination attempt on his life in 1949, he embarked on an unyielding mission to detain his political opponents, primarily communists who had been released by the wartime occupying forces. This dark power struggle would be revisited 4 years later during the dramatic removal of Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh in a coup d'état that favored the Shah. Similar to the covert operations of Stalin's NKVD during a comparable era, the Shah maintained his notorious secret police force, a group infamous as the Savak. This formidable organization sowed discord across various segments of Iranian society with their heavy-handed tactics. The Shah tightly gripped these control levers in his unwavering quest for power, as preserving energy left no room for compromise. His reign indeed carried the burden of numerous transformative efforts. Amidst the noise of allegations reverberating through the halls of corruption and the cloud of liberty's oppression, there was a contrasting melody, a symphony of progress and modernity gracefully swaying in the somber winds. In the early 20th century, Iran was a realm governed by a privileged few, where venerable dynasties like the Pahlavis exerted their considerable influence, and the divide between luxury and poverty resembled the profound depths of the Grand Canyon. The Shah initiated an ambitious journey of infrastructure development, educational advancement, and healthcare improvement. These endeavors significantly enriched the lives of numerous Iranians, a noteworthy achievement deserving of recognition. However, as the age-old saying wisely suggests, the aspiration for universal approval remains an idealistic endeavor. The less adaptable segments of Iranian society were consumed by unease at the advancing wave of Westernization and, heaven forbid, Americanization. They feared an unforgivable transgression, an impending cataclysmic erosion of their deeply cherished national and cultural identity. Some voices expressed sorrow that the Shah's modernization campaign seemed to predominantly benefit the already prosperous, thereby exacerbating the chasm of wealth inequality. Amid this turmoil, a poignant reform crystallized, a transformation that shone as a beacon of hope for the marginalized. Particular residents of the lower echelons asserted that the economic gap was leaving them stranded. Yet what course lay open to the Shah? Should he have abandoned his country's transformation to appease a handful of farmers? Modernization constituted but one facet of the Shah's benevolent stewardship. In a bold gambit that resonated through the annals of history, he orchestrated reforms that brought a much welcome change in the lives of Iranian women. Bestowing upon them the sacred privilege of the vote and unraveling the previously veiled corridors of professional opportunity, he unfurled a canvas of empowerment that painted a brighter future for millions. Today, in some Middle Eastern realms, the echoes of freedoms bestowed upon Iranian women by the Shah are still unseen, a testament to his vision. Yet amidst progress, dissenting voices whispered that he was simply a puppet manipulated by Western powers. As a staunch foe of communism, the Shah's policies cast him into the warm embrace of Western giants, like Great Britain and the USA, fanning the flames of hatred within Iran's heart. Undoubtedly, the Shah's reforms ignited a sea of opposition, most vehemently championed by religious scholars, among them the indomitable Ayatollah Khomeini. His fervor burned white-hot, inciting anti-Shah passion that engulfed spiritual bastions such as the city of Qom in the turbulent era of the early to mid-1960s. Here, Khomeini rallied the masses against what he perceived as a regime steeped in excessive Western influence. Soon after, he was exiled to neighboring Iraq, where he would remain until 1979. Yet proponents point to moments like the 1973 surge in oil prices in the Shah's ledger of achievements. As the Arab states sought to exploit Western nations following the uproar of the Yom Kippur War, the Shah proclaimed a stance of neutrality. However, beneath this facade, he maneuvered to harness Iran's crude oil reserves to its advantage. Even before the oil embargo, Iran had asserted its position in demanding higher oil prices, and when the opportunity arose, the Shah seized it with both hands. With OPEC doubling oil prices, Iran's cash overflowed, casting a dark cloud over Western economies. In a year, the Shah multiplied Iran's oil revenue exponentially, surging from $4.6 billion to $17.8 billion. His strategy of reinvesting a substantial share of these profits into the domestic economy briefly appeased some hardliners, but the seeds of revolution were already sown. Ruhollah Khomeini, a perpetual antagonist of the Shah's regime, had fervently campaigned for the entire decade of the 1970s for the Shah's overthrow and the establishment of an Islamic government from afar. As opposition to Mohammad Reza's perceived divisive policies grew, his friendly relations with Western democracies contrasting with his authoritarian governance, the Shah, grappling with cancer, acknowledged the looming specter of danger hanging over Iran. On January 16, 1979, the Shah bid farewell to Iran for the last time, witnessed by tearful imperial guardsmen. In the wake of his departure, the Pahlavi legacy crumbled, statues were toppled, and nearly every trace of their presence vanished from Iranian soil. Political detainees were liberated, the Shah's notorious secret police Savak disbanded, and Ayatollah Khomeini returned as a revered national icon. On July 27, 1980, the life of Mohammad Reza Shah came to a somber end. Having been in exile since his departure from Iran, he spent his last days battling a relentless cancer. The Shah passed away in the Mahdi military hospital in Cairo, Egypt, where he had been receiving medical treatment. His death marked the conclusion of a tumultuous era in Iranian history, and his absence paved the way for further developments in the country's political landscape, ultimately leading to the establishment of the Islamic Republic of Iran under Ayatollah Khomeini's leadership. Mohammad Reza Shah remains an enigmatic figure in Iran, a polarizing emblem wherein opinions differ sharply. Few individuals in history have elicited such divergent judgments as the Shah of Iran. Even erstwhile allies eventually distanced themselves. US President Jimmy Carter remarked, "The Shah of Iran, though once a US ally, stood as a despot who inflicted torment upon his people." What are your thoughts on Mohammad Reza Shah's reign? Do you view him as a modernizer or a dictator? We will be reading your comments.